The mind has an astonishing way of convincing us that desire alone creates reality. Yet most people spend years wanting, hoping, and praying without ever crossing the invisible threshold between wishing and becoming. The true art of manifestation begins not when you decide what you want, but when you begin to understand the quiet mechanics of consciousness that hold your desires hostage. This is not about learning another technique or repeating affirmations into the void. It is about dismantling the illusion that wanting is enough to call something into form. The great teacher Joe Dispenza reminds us that the universe is not impressed by our words, it is moved by our vibration. Manifestation is not a mental game, it is a neurological, emotional, and energetic alignment between who you believe yourself to be and what reality you are asking to experience. Think for a moment about how often your mind declares one truth while your body feels another. You say you want abundance, but your chest tightens when you think about money. You affirm love, yet a silent fear whispers that you will be abandoned again. This internal dissonance creates interference in your energetic field. Carl Jung would have called it a conflict between the conscious and the unconscious, the divided self that both desires and resists simultaneously. Until those two voices learn to speak the same emotional language, the universe receives mixed signals and responds with silence. True manifestation is not about summoning external miracles, it is the science of inner coherence. When thought and emotion move in harmony, energy flows freely, and reality bends to meet that signal. Dispenza teaches that your electromagnetic field extends far beyond your physical body, shaping the quantum possibilities around you. In this sense, every feeling you hold becomes a broadcast, and the universe is simply a mirror reflecting that frequency back to you. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you consistently are. Consider how the most profound transformations often occur when you stop chasing results. The moment you surrender the need to control, you create space for the natural intelligence of life to intervene. The universe responds not to desperation, but to openness. Jung described this as the process of individuation, the gradual alignment between the ego and the deeper self, where the individual becomes whole. In that wholeness, manifestation is no longer effortful, it becomes an expression of your essential nature. This video is not a promise of instant miracles. It is an invitation to turn inward and meet the hidden architecture of creation itself. You will discover that the reason most people never manifest what they desire is because they do not understand what they are truly communicating to the universe. Through the next chapters, we will explore the invisible patterns that shape your frequency, the emotional imprints that hold you in repetition, and the simple yet profound practices that allow you to reprogram your energetic signature. If you have ever felt that something within you is ready to awaken, that quiet knowing that your reality can no longer remain the same, this is the doorway. The truth that no one tells you is that manifestation begins the moment you stop asking for change and start embodying the energy of the one who has already transformed. Most people begin their journey into manifestation believing that if they think positively enough, visualize clearly enough, or repeat the right affirmations, the universe will eventually deliver what they seek. It is a comforting thought, an idea that reality bends easily to desire. But desire alone is not creation. Beneath the surface of every intention lies a vibration, and that vibration is born not from words, but from the emotional truth we carry in the body. Joe Dispenza teaches that thought is the electrical charge that sends a signal into the quantum field, while emotion is the magnetic charge that draws experience back to us. When those two forces contradict each other, the field responds with confusion. You say you want abundance, yet you feel unworthy of it. You claim to seek love, but your heart still trembles with fear. In that incoherence, nothing moves. The illusion of manifestation is the belief that the universe listens to your mind more than to your frequency. The universe does not interpret language or logic, it translates energy. It receives the feeling behind your thoughts and mirrors it through the experiences that appear before you. Carl Jung understood this principle long before the language of quantum physics existed. He called it projection, the process through which our inner world takes shape outside of us. The people you meet, the situations you attract, and even the obstacles that seem to stand in your way are symbols of the energy you have not yet integrated. Until that energy is transformed, life keeps repeating itself like an echo in a canyon, each event inviting you to finally listen. The deeper truth is that manifestation cannot happen from a place of control. The more you try to manipulate outcomes, the more you affirm to the universe that you are separate from what you want. Control is a declaration of fear. It is the subtle vibration that says, "I do not trust life to support me." In contrast, creation is an act of trust. When you trust, you enter alignment. When you align, you no longer need to chase what is already moving toward you. Consider the image of a river. When you fight against its current, you exhaust yourself, splashing and gasping, insisting that progress must look like effort. Yet the river already knows the way. Manifestation is the same. The current of the universe flows constantly toward expansion, but most of us resist it by holding on to the past, old emotions, identities, and beliefs that weigh us down like stones. The universe cannot bring you a new reality while you are still broadcasting the signal of an old one. This is where awareness becomes the turning point. Before you can manifest consciously, you must see how you are manifesting unconsciously. Every complaint, every judgment, every anxious thought is a small act of creation, shaping the electromagnetic field around you. The universe is always responding. The only question is to which frequency. Dispenza explains that your personal reality is a direct reflection of your personality, your consistent thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. To change your reality, you must first change your state of being. But this is not achieved through force or self-criticism. It begins with observation. Imagine waking up tomorrow and watching your thoughts as if they belong to someone else. Notice how quickly the mind drifts toward lack, toward comparison, toward waiting for something outside of you to validate your worth. That observation alone is the beginning of liberation. Jung believed that what we do not make conscious appears in our lives as fate. To reclaim your creative power, you must bring the unconscious into awareness. When you see the pattern clearly, you are no longer trapped by it. This process requires humility. It asks you to admit that much of what you have called manifestation failure was never a failure at all. It was feedback. The universe has been faithful, mirroring your vibration with perfect accuracy. Every delay, every detour, every unanswered prayer was an invitation to refine your signal. If you can receive those experiences without resentment, you begin to shift from the vibration of the victim to the vibration of the creator. In practical terms, alignment happens when your thoughts, emotions, and actions speak the same language. If you think wealth, feel gratitude, and act generously, you become a magnet for prosperity. But if you think wealth, feel fear, and act from scarcity, you repel it. The energy of contradiction keeps your desires suspended in potential, unable to materialize. This is why meditation and mindful awareness are essential. They quiet the noise of the analytical mind long enough for the heart's intelligence to emerge. The heart is the bridge between thought and manifestation. When it opens, coherence is restored, and the signal becomes pure. Dispenza describes coherence as a biological symphony. When the rhythms of the brain and heart synchronize, the entire nervous system enters harmony. In that state, your body becomes an instrument of creation, broadcasting a clear and steady frequency into the quantum field. From there, manifestation is no longer about making something happen. It becomes about allowing what already exists in the field to unfold naturally into form. Jung might have described this as synchronicity, the mysterious alignment of inner and outer events that defies logic. What looks like coincidence is actually resonance. The illusion that keeps most people trapped is believing they can think their way into transformation while still feeling unworthy, fearful, or disconnected. You cannot escape a pattern by resisting it. You transcend it by raising your vibration beyond it. Awareness is the first movement, emotion the second, and surrender the final act. Each step dissolves another layer of separation until the boundary between you and the universe disappears entirely. In the end, manifestation is not about forcing life to obey your will. It is about remembering that life is responding to your state of being at every moment. The energy you hold now, this very second, is already creating your next experience. The question is not whether manifestation works. It is whether you are willing to see how perfectly it has been working all along. There is a quiet vibration that shapes the fabric of your life long before you ever speak an intention or make a decision. It moves beneath your thoughts, woven into every emotion, every breath, and every subtle reaction to the world around you. This vibration is your true frequency, and for many people it hums with the tone of scarcity. It is not always visible. It disguises itself as logic, prudence, or even ambition. Yet at its core lies fear, the fear that there is not enough. Not enough time, not enough love, not enough money, not enough worth. Joe Dispenza explains that this vibration of lack is a survival frequency deeply rooted in the body's chemistry. When your mind is caught in the loop of not having, your body produces the same stress hormones that prepare you to fight or flee. Your biology begins to mirror your beliefs, and soon your energy field broadcasts that fear into the world, summoning experiences that confirm it. Carl Jung might have called this a collective wound, the inheritance of generations who believed that safety comes from control, that love must be earned, and that abundance is a privilege rather than a natural state. The unconscious absorbs these ancestral messages, shaping the archetype of the struggler, the one who must work endlessly to deserve a small portion of happiness. Until these imprints are recognized, they repeat themselves like unseen scripts. You might change careers, move cities, or find new relationships, yet the same emotional pattern follows you because the vibration has not changed. Scarcity does not only manifest in the realm of money, it seeps into how you measure your value and how you relate to others. It hides in the tension you feel when someone else succeeds, in the envy that whispers that their light diminishes yours. It lives in the hesitation to share your gifts freely, fearing that generosity will leave you empty. In truth, scarcity is not the absence of resources. It is the absence of trust. When you no longer trust the flow of life, you close the gate through which abundance arrives. The frequency of scarcity feeds on repetition. Each time you focus on what is missing, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with lack. The brain becomes a landscape carved by the emotion of insufficiency. Dispenza's research shows that the more you rehearse an emotion, the more it becomes your identity. The cells of your body memorize that state, and soon you are not just experiencing scarcity, you are being scarcity. The universe, responding to the electromagnetic signature of that state, continues to mirror it back to you with unwavering precision. To transcend this vibration, you must first acknowledge its presence without judgment. Scarcity is not a moral failure, it is a conditioned frequency. Jung taught that what is rejected in the psyche becomes shadow, and shadow always seeks expression. When you deny your feelings of inadequacy or fear, they manifest externally as circumstances that mirror them. The path to abundance begins not with denial but with awareness. To see the scarcity within you is to reclaim the power to transform it. The transformation does not happen through effort, it happens through coherence. Dispenza often speaks of emotional coherence as the state in which your heart and mind align with gratitude, love, and openness. Gratitude, in particular, is the antidote to scarcity because it signals to your body that you already have enough. When you practice genuine gratitude, not as a mental exercise but as a felt state, your nervous system shifts out of survival mode. The field around you changes, and new possibilities begin to appear, opportunities that were invisible while you were trapped in the vibration of fear. Abundance, at its essence, is not accumulation, but flow. It is the movement of energy through you, without resistance. Scarcity clings, abundance circulates. You can sense the difference even in the way your body feels when you imagine giving freely versus withholding out of fear. The first expands your chest and softens your breath, the second constricts and hardens. The universe mirrors expansion with expansion and contraction with contraction. What you hold tightly eventually slips through your fingers, while what you release returns multiplied. This is why people who live from abundance often seem effortlessly lucky. It is not that life favors them, it is that their energy is free from interference. They trust the rhythm of giving and receiving, knowing that everything in nature operates through cycles. Jung found this truth mirrored in symbolism, the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail, representing infinite renewal. In energetic terms, abundance is the same principle. The recognition that every act of giving completes a circle that inevitably returns. Still, understanding this concept intellectually is not enough. The frequency of scarcity cannot be dissolved by thought alone because it is felt, not reasoned. You must meet it within your body, where it first took root. Each time you catch yourself reacting with fear, whether about finances, relationships, or time, Pause long enough to notice where that fear lives physically. Does it tighten your stomach? Does it weigh on your chest? The moment you bring awareness to the sensation, you stop being unconsciously controlled by it. Presence interrupts the old pattern and opens the possibility for a new signal to emerge. Over time, as you replace fear with trust, your vibration naturally rises. Dispenza describes this shift as moving from the energy of matter to the energy of frequency, from pushing against reality to radiating into it. When you no longer operate from survival, you begin to emit a signal of wholeness. This signal draws matching experiences into your field. Synchronicities, opportunities, people who resonate with your new state of being. The world does not change first, you do. Then the world rearranges itself around your coherence. The frequency of scarcity begins to fade, replaced by an expanding sense of sufficiency. You realize that abundance is not something to be gained, but something to be remembered. It has always been the natural hum beneath all existence, waiting for you to tune back in. The moment you do, life starts to speak in a new language, one written in flow, generosity, and quiet certainty that there is, and always has been, more than enough. There is a silent conversation happening between your heart and your mind every moment of your life. Most people are unaware of it, yet it determines everything they experience. When thought and emotion speak in different languages, the signal that reaches the universe becomes fragmented, uncertain, and weak. This is why people can think about success, visualize love, or affirm abundance without ever seeing them materialize. The universe is not rejecting their wishes, it is simply reflecting their incoherence. Joe Dispenza explains that the brain and the heart each emit their own electromagnetic fields, and together they create the energetic blueprint through which reality takes form. When those fields are aligned, energy moves with clarity and strength. When they are divided, the signal is distorted, and the outer world mirrors that confusion. Carl Jung would describe this split as the conflict between the conscious and the unconscious, between what you claim to believe and what you truly feel. The mind insists on control, while the soul longs for surrender. The ego chases certainty, while the deeper self seeks expansion. This internal contradiction keeps the psyche in a state of tension, and that tension manifests externally as delay, struggle, or chaos. Until those two forces reconcile, manifestation remains inconsistent, like trying to play a symphony on an untuned instrument. To understand emotional coherence, one must first accept that emotion is not weakness. Emotion is energy in motion, the language through which your inner world speaks to the field around you. When you suppress, deny, or spiritualize your emotions prematurely, you disrupt that communication. Many who pursue manifestation fall into the trap of false positivity, smiling through pain, repeating affirmations they do not believe, forcing gratitude they do not feel. This disconnection between emotional truth and mental intention creates energetic noise. The field receives not the words but the underlying resistance. Dispenza's research shows that the heart's electromagnetic field is far stronger than that of the brain, which means that feeling always overrides thought. You cannot think your way into abundance while your heart vibrates in fear. To create a new reality, the mind must imagine it, but the heart must believe it. Coherence begins the moment those two centers synchronize, when what you think becomes what you feel. Gratitude becomes a bridge in this process, not as a moral obligation, but as a biological harmonizer. When you feel genuine gratitude, your nervous system relaxes, your breath deepens, and the electromagnetic rhythm of your heart stabilizes. In that state, the brain receives a signal of safety and begins to generate thoughts that match that emotion. The loop of coherence is complete. Feeling informs thought, thought amplifies feeling, and energy flows unobstructed. Jung might have described this harmony as the union of opposites, the alchemical marriage of reason and emotion, masculine and feminine, spirit and matter. In psychological terms, it is integration. In spiritual terms, it is alignment. The moment you stop trying to silence the heart and instead listen to its rhythm, you begin to create from wholeness rather than from fragmentation. Consider how often incoherence disguises itself as ambition. You set goals, chase outcomes, and demand certainty from the universe, all while carrying doubt within. The harder you push, the louder the inner resistance becomes. The subconscious is not an enemy. It is simply loyal to the familiar. It will always choose known discomfort over unknown possibility. This is why transformation requires consistency, not force. Every time you calm your body and return to the feeling of coherence, you teach your subconscious that safety exists within expansion. Slowly, the body learns a new language, one that speaks abundance fluently. Dispenza teaches that when the heart and brain synchronize, measurable changes occur in the electromagnetic field surrounding the body. These shifts are not symbolic. They are physical evidence that your energy has reorganized. In that moment, you are no longer broadcasting signals of need or lack. Instead, you emit a steady frequency of completion. The universe recognizes that vibration instantly because it mirrors the frequency of creation itself, complete, coherent, and infinite. It is not enough, however, to experience coherence once in meditation and then return to chaos in daily life. The true mastery lies in carrying that state through ordinary moments, while driving, working, or standing in silence. Coherence is a practice of presence. Each time you align your thoughts and emotions, you reaffirm your partnership with the universe. You stop being a fragmented seeker and become a conscious participant in creation. Jung's teachings remind us that coherence is also the path to individuation, the process by which a human being becomes whole, aware, and authentically alive. When coherence takes root, the outer world transforms to reflect your inner harmony. Relationships soften, opportunities appear without strain, and even challenges reveal purpose. What once felt random begins to make sense. This is the essence of synchronicity, the external world arranging itself to match the frequency of your inner order. Emotional coherence does not mean perfection, it means honesty. It means allowing sadness when it arises, fear when it visits, and joy when it flows. Without judgment or suppression, each emotion when fully felt carries intelligence. When resisted, it becomes distortion. The key is not to control what you feel, but to remain present enough to let emotion complete its cycle. In that space, energy returns to neutrality, and your vibration stabilizes naturally. Imagine a melody where every note resonates in harmony with the next, where no tone overpowers another. This is what coherence feels like within the human system, a gentle rhythm of trust, presence, and clarity. When you reach this state, manifestation no longer feels like effort. It feels like inevitability, as though life itself were conspiring to reflect your internal alignment. In truth, it always was. The only change is that you have finally begun to hear the music. There comes a moment on the path of manifestation when the striving must end, when the mind that has tried to command the universe must finally fall silent. This silence is not defeat, it is the highest form of intelligence. The act of conscious surrender is often misunderstood as giving up, yet it is precisely the opposite. It is the moment when the self ceases to resist the natural rhythm of existence and begins to flow with it. Joe Dispenza calls this the collapse of the wave, the point in which pure potential takes form only after observation without attachment. The observer, freed from expectation, becomes the channel through which the universe expresses itself. Surrender begins when the illusion of control dissolves. The human mind clings to certainty as if it were oxygen, constructing timelines, outcomes, and guarantees. But the quantum field does not operate through linear logic. It responds to frequency, to the energetic quality of your being. When you attempt to force an outcome, you are broadcasting a signal of mistrust. The message beneath that effort says, "I do not believe that life can move without me." In that vibration, creation halts. The universe waits patiently for you to stop interfering, for only then can it align in perfect orchestration. Carl Jung would describe this moment as the reconciliation between ego and self, the surrender of the smaller identity to the greater intelligence that animates all things. The ego fears surrender because it believes that control equals safety, but the self knows that control is the greatest illusion of all. What appears as uncertainty is actually the movement of a higher order that the conscious mind cannot yet perceive. When the ego steps aside, the unconscious, that vast and luminous sea, begins to communicate through symbols, dreams, and synchronicities. Surrender opens that channel. In this state, you begin to realize that manifestation is not about acquiring, but allowing. The field is already pregnant with every possible reality. Your task is not to demand one into being, but to align so deeply with its frequency that it can no longer remain unseen. Dispenza teaches that when you release the emotional charge of wanting, your energy becomes coherent with the outcome you desire. You move from the vibration of "I need" to the vibration of "I am." In that instant, time bends, probabilities shift, and what once seemed distant begins to unfold effortlessly. Conscious surrender also transforms your relationship with waiting. Most people experience waiting as emptiness, as the absence of what they want. But true surrender reveals waiting as gestation, the sacred interval in which unseen forces are arranging everything on your behalf. The bamboo takes 5 years to grow roots before it breaks through the soil, yet once it does, it rises rapidly toward the sky. Surrender is that subterranean phase, invisible but essential. When you release your need to control the pace, you align with the natural intelligence of life, a rhythm far wiser than impatience. Dispenza's work with meditation reveals that in the stillness of surrender, brainwave patterns shift from high beta, the frequency of stress and control, into alpha and theta, states associated with openness, creativity, and deep connection to the field. It is in these states that the mind becomes a bridge between the finite and the infinite. The more you linger there, the more the boundaries of identity dissolve. The one who wanted begins to merge with the one who already is. What follows is a profound sense of peace, not because everything is known, but because nothing needs to be. Jung wrote that the unconscious is not merely a repository of forgotten memories, but a living intelligence that guides the process of transformation. When you surrender, you invite that intelligence to lead. Dreams become clearer, coincidences multiply, and subtle intuitions arise like compass points directing your steps. What you once called luck or fate is simply the universe reorganizing itself around your coherence. The synchronicities that follow are not random. They are the language of the self acknowledging your trust. Yet, surrender does not mean passivity. It is not the absence of intention, but the purification of it. Intention without attachment becomes like an arrow released into the wind, precise, effortless, and free. The moment you let go of how it must arrive, the energy of creation rushes to meet your openness. Dispenza often describes this as entering the unknown, the fertile void from which all potential arises. To the ego, the unknown is terrifying. To the awakened heart, it is home. The practice of surrender is therefore an art of balance. You hold the vision clearly, yet release the urgency. You take inspired action, yet release the need to control its outcome. You trust that every apparent detour serves your highest alignment. Each delay becomes a recalibration, not a denial. In that space, gratitude becomes the natural language of being, not because everything has manifested yet, but because you recognize that everything is already in motion. This understanding transforms how you perceive reality. You stop labeling experiences as good or bad, success or failure. Instead, you begin to sense the underlying order in all events. The conversation you missed, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that vanished, all of them reveal themselves as integral threads in the tapestry of your unfolding. Jung called this the principle of meaningful coincidence. When inner readiness meets external opportunity, the universe responds as if it were reading your heart. To live in conscious surrender is to walk through life without resistance. It is to trust that what is meant for you cannot pass you by, and what leaves was never meant to stay. This trust is not naive optimism. It is the embodiment of coherence in its highest form. When your energy moves without friction, reality mirrors that ease. Life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a dance between seen and unseen forces. Eventually, you come to understand that surrender is not the end of creation, but its mastery. It is the quiet recognition that you were never separate from the universe you were trying to command. The observer and the observed were always one. The moment you release your grasp on how life should unfold, the divine intelligence that animates all things moves through you, shaping your reality in ways that no effort could ever achieve. In that sacred stillness, manifestation ceases to be a practice. It becomes your natural state of being. At the heart of every human desire lies the longing to remember who we truly are. Manifestation, stripped of all its techniques and theories, is not about bending the universe to your will. It is about dissolving the illusion that you were ever separate from it. You are not a fragment begging for wholeness. You are the field itself experiencing what it feels like to awaken. Joe Dispenza reminds us that freedom begins when you learn to master your internal state, when no external circumstance can dictate the vibration you choose to hold. In that mastery, you no longer chase outcomes, you radiate them. Carl Jung would say that this is the destiny of every soul, to bring the unconscious into awareness until nothing within remains unknown. When that happens, life ceases to be random. Synchronicity becomes constant, each moment revealing itself as a mirror of your coherence. The same energy that once felt like resistance becomes guidance, pointing you back toward alignment. The truth that no one tells you about manifestation is that it was never about getting what you want. It has always been about becoming the one who no longer needs to ask. When you embody the vibration of abundance, love, and peace, you stop trying to attract those things and start expressing them. The outer world rearranges itself naturally because it has no choice. The universe cannot resist coherence. This journey is not about learning something new, but remembering something ancient. You were born as the vibration of creation, capable of shaping reality simply by being fully aware of it. Every thought, every feeling, every breath is a conversation with the infinite. And the universe, in its endless intelligence, is always listening, not to your words, but to your energy. When that energy becomes a living expression of gratitude and surrender, manifestation ceases to be magic. It becomes the most natural language of existence. You're not trying to manifest your reality anymore. You're finally becoming it. Before this video fades, pause and let one question echo inside you. If your energy is already creating your future, what reality are you choosing to broadcast in this very moment? If these words resonated with something deep within you, remember, you are not alone on this path of awakening. Subscribe to this channel, stay connected to this space of consciousness, and allow each new video to expand your awareness a little further. There is more to explore, more to awaken, more to remember. Continue watching the next video on your screen and keep walking toward the reality your soul has always known was possible. The universe is still listening,